Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, I would classify this as an upset. So Lewis Crocker defeats Paddy Donovan by a 12-round split decision to become the new IBF welterweight champion. The vacant IBF title was on the line. And yeah, Lewis Crocker got the split decision in Belfast. Now, listen, I wasn't scoring this fight round by round, I have to say. Lewis Crocker was a lot better than the first fight tactically. I felt he got a lot right. Having said that, just based on my initial viewing without scoring, my intuition after the fight told me that Paddy Donovan won the fight based on activity. I will say one thing I don't think the commentary team was giving Crocker credit for was he was blocking a lot of Donovan's shots on the guard. And in many rounds, not much really happened, has to be said. But, you know, Donovan was throwing more punches, whereas Crocker at times was barely throwing in various rounds. Lewis Crocker in this fight, I'll tell you who he reminded me of in the first 5 rounds. He actually reminded me of Danny Garcia. You know, Danny Garcia back in the day had that knack of landing those quote-unquote no-look hooks or no-look counters. That's what he was looking like in there, in the first sort of 5 rounds, Lewis Crocker. Not as good, obviously, as the Danny Garcia, but kind of similar. Very poised, very compact, tight guard, not really giving much away, and basically reacting to what his opponent was doing to then land that big shot. And I think this fight also shows, by the way, before we get into the fight itself, I guess, I think this fight does show, when you have these flashy guys who have great deal of speed, you know, fast twitch muscles, etc., we know the types of fighters I'm talking about, like a Paddy Donovan. I keep on saying, and I don't know why fighters in boxing don't see it, or coaches don't see it in boxing, but so many of these sort of fast twitch guys who like to box at their own pace, when you make these guys change their game plan and chase a fight, they look so much more ineffective. So much more ineffective. And although I felt Donovan won this fight, Lewis Crocker made him look a lot more ordinary this time around. Crocker, again, came out in this fight, round 1, tight guard, very, very compact, not giving much away, blocking a lot of shots on gloves. First round, not really, honestly, not much happened. You could give first round 10-10. Round 2 was close, but Donovan was more active. You could see that basically Crocker in this fight was maintaining his range, trying to catch shots on the gloves and then counter with either a big left hook or a big right hand. He was trying to time Paddy as he was coming in, basically, with those flurries. And round 3, you know, round 2 was close, man. I'd give it to Donovan, but it is what it is. Round 3, though, he kind of semi-caught Paddy Donovan coming in. It was like a cuffing, left hook. It wasn't all that clean, but I guess it was scoring. It kind of dropped Paddy Donovan, 10-8 rounds. Donovan wasn't hurt whatsoever. Kind of like a balance thing, just kind of getting a bit over. He was kind of getting a bit too frustrated, I think, early on. Because I'm assuming that Donovan early on expected the same Lewis Crocker, just a high guard guy who marches you down. But in this fight, Crocker was maintaining range a lot more and waiting for Donovan to come to him. And I think that threw Donovan off. I think it threw everybody off, to be honest with you. As a result, he got a bit careless. He got dropped in the 3rd round. Round 4, I felt, you know, Donovan was picking his shots or trying to. A lot was landing on gloves, but I felt he was a lot more active. Some shots were sinking to the body, those long left hands from the southpaw stance. You know, I'd give round 4 based on activity to Donovan, but again, you know, I do think the guard from the commentary wasn't getting enough credit from Crocker. Round 5 was a round that Donovan was winning. But again, you know, Donovan was winning it, but he wasn't exactly having a hell of a lot of success. And again, he got overconfident, and he walked into a big left hook from Lewis Crocker, and that was like the Danny Garcia left hook that dropped Amir Khan. Kind of big looping overhand left hook, kind of head down, Donovan walks right into it. It drops him hard towards the end of round 5. Like, his knees crumpled. It was a heavy, heavy knockdown. One of those knockdowns that if it were to happen earlier in a round, Donovan might have been in trouble, to be honest with you. But to be fair, he recovered in between rounds and, got back to his boxing after that. Now, after round 5, I felt Donovan won the majority of the rounds, to be honest with you. Again, Crocker was just high guarding it, maintaining range, wasn't really stepping in with much, he wasn't really taking any risks. He was always trying to counter what Donovan was doing. Crocker was landing more or less the more eye-catching shots, but they were so few and far in between. So it's like, what do you prefer there? Like, and Crocker did land some good shots throughout the fight. But, Donovan was picking away with his lead hand. He was trying to fire the straight left to the body. And that's basically the rest of the fight. Crocker trying to wait for one big counter shot. And Donovan kind of like picking and prodding away. Again, I need to reiterate once more. And I'm telling this to myself as well. Because although I thought Donovan won or deserved it on my first viewing, even I was recognizing that for me, a lot of shots were landing on the gloves of Crocker, so maybe I need to go back and watch it. But for me, after round 5, Donovan was more active. I felt he was still probably landing more shots. And, he was winning more rounds. Round 12 was pretty close, to be fair. There was a bit more action in round 12. Crocker tried to close the show, I guess, and win the round to make sure. And, I think he had an argument in round 12, to be honest with you. I think he had an argument. I felt he landed the more eye-catching shots in round 12, and he opened up a bit more in round 12 as well. I think Crocker, I know he won the fight, so it's kind of a moot point, but, I do think Crocker should have opened up like round 10 onwards, changed his game plan and then became more aggressive, not just in round 12. But listen, it was a competitive fight. On my first viewing, I felt Donovan won, but I'm not going to call it a robbery until I see it again. And, well, that's if I see it again, because aside from the knockdowns, it wasn't an amazing fight, to tell you the truth. But it was one of those fights that still had you captivated because of the knockdowns, and you felt like maybe it could happen again. But yeah, Crocker wins the IBF welterweight title. Crocker is the new IBF welterweight champion. We have a division at welterweight. No disrespect to Lewis Crocker, but we have a division at in the welterweight division now where we have Lewis Crocker and Rolly Romero as world champions, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. I will give credit to Crocker, though. He was definitely a lot better in this rematch. He was definitely a lot better. He went in with a game plan, which was obviously to walk Donovan into a big shot. And he succeeded at that at times, to tell you the truth. He succeeded. So it was a good game plan by Crocker. It was a good game plan, but on my initial viewing, without scoring, my intuition told me that Donovan did enough, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm kind of intrigued to see how you guys feel about this fight. I'm intrigued. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.